Hello there, make sure to stick around until the end of the video for part 2 of a 4-part series sponsored by Squarespace. Start your free Squarespace trial today at squarespace.com/browntable and use code Browntable to get 10% off your first purchase. Visual effects and film go hand in hand nowadays. Some of the most impressive uses of computer-generated images are when films meld practicality and technical wizardry to create something truly amazing. Take Rachel in Blade Runner 2049 or Michael Douglas in Ant-Man and the Wasp. To be honest, films like Blade Runner 2049 and Ex Machina couldn't have been created without the use of CGI. But visual effects are always used in places where practical effects would be too expensive or too dangerous or wouldn't work. Same thing with the older films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In the first Iron Man, Jon Favreau and the much smaller Marvel Studios actually built the first Iron Man armor and created Mark II and III from the waist up.
The first half hour of being in the Iron Man suit is like the coolest Halloween you ever had, except you're alone in the trailer before they call you on a set or whatever, or you're getting ready and you just catch a glimpse and you go, "That's right. Grandma'd be proud."
What they couldn't do in real life or what didn't look too clean, they fixed in post with visual effects. That's why Iron Man's suit in the first Iron Man looked genuinely photorealistic, because they actually built the Iron Man suit. But for some reason, for the next few movies such as Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, and Infinity War, they also built the Iron Man suit, but it was less refined. They used the Iron Man armor sculpt just to know where Iron Man was in the scene, and to capture the lighting of the scene so they could replicate the environment and lighting conditions in CGI modeling software to make it look like Iron Man is really there. And it's not just Iron Man. Marvel has started replacing practical work with visual effects for almost everything. So yes, Marvel has a CGI problem. It's not that their CGI looks fake all the time or it looks terrible. It's just that sometimes it sticks out. The visual effects for Marvel movies are usually so well integrated into the scenes that whenever something looks not as refined or not as well animated, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And this isn't me saying CGI is bad or VFX is bad in any way. It's essential to creating a blockbuster film at this point, and it really makes things look that much more spectacular. Incredible visual effects are used everywhere in Marvel movies. You don't even notice. They're usually implemented in these films in places you wouldn't even imagine. But there's also cases where visual effects are overutilized. This became truly apparent to me when Avengers Age of Ultron came out, and I saw Iron Man's final suit in that movie. It looked like a PlayStation 4 game, and it does look pretty bad. So bad that it makes Ultron look good. But Ultron also looked pretty bad, and I'm talking about his final form here. See, Ultron looked rather good. There were a lot of intricate pieces, and he had lights inside his body, giving a creepy effect, and then he put on some weird vibranium armor, and that vibranium armor looked like it had specular roughness set all the way up. The metal looked extremely matte, and not really metal. It looked like he had craft foam on his body. Even Hulk was more beautiful in the first Avengers film, and in Age of Ultron, he looked slightly less good somehow. And then in Ragnarok, he also looks slightly less good. Either way, what I just mentioned isn't really enough to take you out of the movie. I'm not entirely sure if Iron Man 3 was the cause for Marvel being overly reliant on CGI, but when Iron Man 3 came out, there were a bunch of Iron Man armors that were never built, and they were all CGI, and maybe, just maybe, Marvel realized that, hey, we don't need to make everything practically, and decided to start getting VFX companies to do everything. In Ant-Man, the same thing that happened in Iron Man 3, fully CGI armors, and Avengers Age of Ultron, a fully CGI Iron Man suit, happened here. Marvel created the Yellow Jacket suit, which is a completely CGI suit. This was never made. There is no actor underneath a black and yellow suit. Here, they did a pretty damn good job. This pretty much is perfect. But after Phase 2, the CGI gets a little bonkers. For example, Spider-Man's costume? CGI, baby. Now if I'm being honest, it looks gorgeous, but next to the other characters, it sticks out at times. They actually built a costume, a real one, which looks so much better than what they ended up with. Not the design, but the fact that it actually looks tangible. When you look at it, you feel as if you can grab it. Spider-Man's suit in Civil War doesn't really feel this way. Even more awkward is the Iron Man suit in Civil War. They straight up covered the practical armor sculpt with CGI, not only making it look that much more fake, but making it appear as if Robert Downey Jr.'s head is floating on the Iron Man suit, when here, it looks real. Because you know, it's actually there. And then we get to Spider-Man Homecoming, which debuts arguably the best Spider-Man suit ever made on screen, and then completely covers it with CGI that is very frustrating to look at. Not necessarily because the CGI is poor, because I mean, come on, even though it looks strange at times, it's better than most of the CGI in movies these days. It's because they had a perfectly fine Spider-Man suit that had been tailored to fit Tom Holland, and it was beautiful, and it was covered up. There's a shot in the trailers that have Tom Holland as Spider-Man climbing the Washington Monument, and you can see this scene in behind-the-scenes footage. And in the film, it's completely replaced with CGI. What was the point? So that begs the question, if you're just going to replace an actor, then why bother even having Tom Holland on set? Just have him record lines at his studio. In my opinion, this looks much better than this. And then there's a close-up of the suit, and it does not look great. This drone looks even worse. They could have made an actual model of this drone and only animated the legs, but they decided to make the entire thing CG. And look, I for one love Spider-Man Homecoming, but you can critique what you love. I think they made the homemade suit look perfect and legitimately photorealistic. That is CGI, not the real suit, but the main suit can look very fake at times. Not all the time. Most of the time it actually looks pretty decent, but there's plenty of times where it just doesn't work. Now let me do a side-by-side comparison of the Homecoming suit when it's CGI and when it's the actual suit with touch-ups in post to make the eyes move and remove wrinkles. The biggest reason why the Homecoming suit doesn't work is because the suit is meant to pretty much stick onto Peter's body. You know in comic books when superheroes are pretty much naked if they didn't have suits on, like you can see the anatomy of the body? That makes no sense, right? It's cool, but in real life that doesn't really work. Well, they applied this to the Homecoming suit. There are literally no wrinkles on this suit, no creases or anything, and that is pretty much near impossible in real life. Why the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit looks that much better is because they allowed the suit to wrinkle and flow. It actually seemed like something on top of a human body, and wind reacted to it.
And notice the wrinkling detail in his suit. The new suit design is much looser than it was in previous iterations, so full-on cloth sim gave us the opportunity to bring out another layer of detail, with wrinkles driven not only by his movement but also react to the environment, like fluttering in the breeze during freefall.
This does not happen with the Homecoming suit because, again, it's stuck to Peter's body. That's why the homemade Spider-Man suit looks that much more practical and realistic, because since it's such a baggy suit, it makes it feel way more tangible than something really smooth. And then we get to the biggest offender, in my opinion, Black Panther, or as I like to call the movie, CGI Panther. So we have a beautiful suit that's actually been made to fit Chadwick Boseman. We have a beautiful suit that's been made to fit Michael B. Jordan. And what do? CGI everywhere! See, obviously it's not like Marvel does everything. They don't do the VFX or anything like that. They outsource a lot of their scenes to VFX companies, so they can do the visual effects. One of these companies is Method Studios, and Method Studios single-handedly made Black Panther's final act incredibly ugly, which is incredibly disappointing because their work is impeccable. They've brought us some of the best visual effects I've seen in any movie. So what happened with Black Panther? I don't know, but it's not good. This gorgeous shot in the first Black Panther trailer was replaced with this. This is objectively bad. Not just the VFX, but lighting too. They had a beautiful background and everything, and it looks like they cut out and pasted Chadwick Boseman's head onto a completely different scene. And of course, CGI is important. CGI is essential for creating worlds and characters. With CGI and visual effects, one can make dreams reality. But sometimes, in the process of making dreams reality, reality itself is also skewed. Killmonger's final suit was actually made. This is a real suit, and in the film, they replaced the suit completely with CGI. I don't think there are any shots that have the actual suit on display. Maybe this scene where Killmonger dies? I have no idea. And the most disgusting thing I've ever seen is this final fight, which has some of the worst choreography and cinematography I've ever seen since the first X-Men. You remember this scene in the first X-Men movie, in which they use a fake floating camera, everything is CGI? Black Panther, a 2018 movie, copied X-Men, a movie that came out in 2000. And with a completely dark atmosphere, we can't appreciate the textures on the CGI model because there's no light to have these textures pop. So we're stuck with two cartoons fighting. And it's so ugly. It's genuinely ugly as hell. Batman v Superman's final fight may have been a mess, but hell, it looks light years better than this. And look, Ryan Coogler can direct action. He directed Creed, and he directed this fight, which was pretty damn good. So I have no idea what happened here. It's almost like Marvel wanted a CGI fight, and Coogler was like, no, And Marvel was just like, okay.
I'll do it myself.
Have you seen Marvel Future Fight's trailer for Black Panther? It looks almost the same. That's not good. Thankfully, Marvel most definitely put all their money in Infinity War, and it shows because everything looks beautiful. Like for example, Method Studios worked on Infinity War. They did these scenes, and it looks fantastic. And another company, Framestore, also went all out with the CGI, no stops, just impeccable visual effects and tracking like I've never seen. The only thing that looks strange in the movie to me is the nanotech effect, because at times it looks beautiful, and sometimes it can look really fake, like this shot. And this one. This looks kinda funky, but again, I can't even begin to imagine how hard it must be to make this look good, so props to the VFX teams. But forget Infinity War. Spider-Man Far From Home has just finished filming, and look at this suit. This suit is arguably the best live-action Spider-Man suit at the moment. I like it more than the Homecoming Spider-Man suit, and I bet you it will be covered in CGI. Seriously, take a good look at how beautiful it is in the set photos, because it will most likely all be CGI by the time the movie comes out, and it shouldn't be like that. Seriously, it's kinda sad. It's almost like covering up the hard work and attention that costume designers put into these suits. So, closing statements. Marvel, please, stop seeing visual effects. I think they're a bad influence, and maybe go talk to practical effects instead, or maybe you can have a two-way. You can have visual effects and practical effects at the same time. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And we've been talking a lot about Marvel lately, so why don't we talk about DC a little bit? Especially their greatest film, Catwoman. See, Squarespace has sponsored this video, so we can give Catwoman the website she deserves. Can you roll the intro? Now, if you don't know what Squarespace is, you probably haven't watched a YouTube video before. Squarespace is a website development tool which allows you to create websites that you want to create. This platform helps millions of people, including myself, share stories and spread the word on peak cinema. I personally had a great experience with it. In part 1, I was able to create Catwoman website, and I think Pitoff would be proud. Now you can start your free Squarespace trial today at squarespace.com/browntable and use the code browntable to get 10% off your first purchase. Link in the description below. I'm still not done. I want to put a video in this website. So here I have the YouTube link, and thanks to Squarespace's easy to find and useful help center, I know just how to place this sexy video into my website. Something else that's really cool and personal is that I've actually used other website creation tools for, my own personal projects, my own personal art, and all of them are incredibly slow or weird. They take time to process, but from what I've seen, Squarespace is actually much faster. I've really enjoyed making my website. It has like 3 times what other website building services have. It's great. The way they have this many options to choose from images to videos to add to the website, is fantastic. And the video's in there. So, if you want to check out the first Catwoman sermon, today we're going to be talking about the glory of Catwoman. The site has been updated to include a new section called Sermons. But here's something I wanted to know about you. Do you like Catwoman? Do you love Catwoman? Do you love Daddy Zach? David Ayer? Michael Bay? Well, I have a challenge for you. I want to see the physical embodiment of your love. That sounded wrong. Since Squarespace is sponsoring this video, I wanted you to create your own Squarespace website so I can put it in the coming soon section of my Catwoman website, and it'll look really freaking cool. I want to see your Squarespace websites dedicated to Catwoman or whatever character you love, and I'll add them to the coming soon section, which will be called the Great Squarespace Website Challenge of 2018. So please, send me your sexy websites before December 15th to browntablentertainment@gmail.com, and I will add them to the website, the Catwoman website, and the person who has the nicest website will be at the top of the page. And that's a challenge, that's all I got for today, but remember to watch Catwoman and think about Pitoff every night. And don't forget, Squarespace is offering you 10% off your first purchase with them, so remember to click the link in the description, squarespace.com/browntable. Use the code browntable to get 10% off your first purchase. P.S. The best website will be named Catwoman's Daddy. Or Mommy, if you're a girl.